Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. I'm going to carry on my series about debating and now give you a simple example of how to debate. I mentioned this example motion in my previous video. This House believes that smoking should be against the law. So I'll just give you a brief speech about that. So I'm going to go over to the right of the chairman's chair, because that's a position where the first proposition speaker would be. Before I begin, the chairman of the debating society would have already stood up and said something like, "Order, order, I call this House to order. The motion before the House is this House believes that smoking should be against the law. And I call upon George to propose the motion which stands in his name." And everybody would applaud. So the first proposition speaker, standing to the right of the chair, would begin with the typical exordium, which is saying, "Mr. Chairman," and then look at the chairman, or Madam Chair, if it's a woman, look at them for a moment, "Ladies and gentlemen," and then begin like that. Because in theory, the debaters are not speaking to each other across the aisle, they're speaking to the chair, not to refer to the speakers in person. So, all right, so I shall begin now. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to outline the reasons why smoking should be against the law. First of all, it's disastrous for people's health. Second of all, smoking is highly addictive. Third of all, it ruins the economy. And fourth of all, it makes people hideous. Let me go over those reasons again in some depth. Dr. Richard Dong published an article in the British Medical Journal in 1950 proving that smoking causes lung cancer. He looked at 800 patients for pulmonary cancer in a London hospital. Of those 800, how many did not smoke? 2. It's a very damning statistic. It causes, cancer of the lips, of the tongue. It causes heart attacks. People can smoke their legs off. They've had to have their limbs amputated because of smoking, emphysema, you name it. It is slow motion suicide, and we do not permit suicide. We intervene to stop that. Let me add and break my second reason. So smoking is not a choice. And that's the main fallacy that you'll encounter from the other side of the House this evening. Because there is nicotine in it, and nicotine is a drug. For decades, tobacco companies lied and lied about the addictive nature of nicotine, and they deliberately laced it with nicotine to cause a dependency. It's not just the nicotine, it's the tar, it's the tobacco itself, it's even the physical action of putting things in your mouth. So it creates a very bad habit. That's why they're chain smokers, and it victimizes those with low IQs, those with addictive personalities. It's destructive, it's poison. So it must be suppressed. So third of all, as I said, it has a deleterious impact on the economy. Smokers die younger and therefore not so economically productive. They are in very poor health for decades before they die and are unable to work so effectively. They have to take a long time off ill. It costs a fortune to provide health care for these people. We have to set up smoking zones for them, which is extremely wasteful. Money is squandered on cigarettes, tobacco, loose tobacco, cigars and so forth, which could be spent on things which are more productive. And fourth of all, yes, it makes people ugly. Their skin, their voice gets very rough. I remember pressing a buzzer in an entry phone, and the man said, "Yeah, come up to the first floor." I got to the first floor. It was a woman, because after 20 years of smoking, her voice was so coarsened by tobacco abuse that she could no longer continue. So she was a tobacco addict. It's a very lugubrious tale. So those are the arguments I outlined tonight, that smoking is bad for people's health. Nobody would dispute that it's ruinous of the economy, that it is addictive, not a choice, and that it makes people look very ugly. Those are my arguments, and I urge the House to support this motion.